the grand scheme of the universe, this movie was actually pretty good. Sides fold out too. Pretty cool, huh? Hey guys, Justin here. So, I just got done seeing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness at the Palisade Center in West Nyack, New York earlier today. This is a continuation in the series where I'm reviewing recent movies that have been released for, YouTube and whatnot. Because I had ideas about doing this review series before, but I never really got it going as good as I wanted it to. But now, I'm starting to get into a rhythm of it. Alright, let's begin. So, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was released on May 6, 2022, which is the day that this video is coming out. But I actually saw it a day earlier, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, which is actually today when I'm filming this. So, this movie is directed by Sam Raimi, who you might know from movies like Drag Me to Hell, The Evil Dead, and the original Spider-Man movies from 2002, 2004, and 2007. The one with Tobey Maguire. This is actually the 28th installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which started all the way back in 2008 with the original Iron Man movie. So this movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange, Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff and the Scarlet Witch, and Jacques Gomez as America Chavez, and Rachel McAdams as Christine Palmer. Alright, so this review is going to contain some spoilers, so be warned. You got my warning, so now we're going to get into it. So this movie follows the events of what happens when multiverses start colliding upon themselves. So we have America Chavez, who is from an alternate dimension, and then she enters into the one where most of the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff happens, which later in the movie would be called Earth 616, because 616 is this continuation of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where everything from Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, all that stuff is part of 616. So America finds herself in 616. Doctor Strange goes to protect her because the alternate Doctor Strange wasn't able to save her. And so then Doctor Strange goes to Wanda Maximoff / the Scarlet Witch. If you watched WandaVision, you'll be able to understand all that a little bit more. The two of them are talking to each other, and Doctor Strange really wants to get America back to her universe and just let her live and whatnot. Wanda is very upset about it because in an alternate universe, she is actually caring for children that she wanted. After all the events of what happened in WandaVision, she just kind of kept in her own mind. Within this universe, she wanted to keep her kids with her, but she wasn't able to, so she's going to other universes in order to get that kind of closure that she wasn't able to get here. Wanda just stops caring about everybody else and only wants her personal fulfillment. And Doctor Strange is like, no, I'm not cool with this. But then they kind of part ways. Wanda is going to get America Chavez because she's able to hop between multiverses. So she can finally get that fulfillment. And America Chavez is held at Kamartaj in Nepal. So she goes there to try and get America Chavez. And a little bit later, after a bit of fighting between Wanda and everybody at Kamartaj, she's able to harness the abilities from the Book of Vishanti, which allow her to go in between multiverses. And as a result, America Chavez, whenever she gets scared, just hops multiverses, and she feels like she's unable to control it, so she doesn't know, what the heck is going on. And so they end up in another universe where they find out more details about each other. I'm referring to America and Doctor Strange. So then there's a series of events that are leading up to them trying to get back to Wanda to stop all this madness, as the title implies. But then they end up in the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York City in the alternate universe. in which I forgot his name, but he's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Who was in the previous Doctor Strange movie, who became an enemy. He's the Sorcerer Supreme of that universe. After figuring out, like, oh, this is not my Doctor Strange. So he places America and Doctor Strange under arrest. It leads to them being in a facility in Central Park that houses multiversal people. Doctor Strange has to answer to the Illuminati. Wanda has made her way into this universe, and she's just dead set on finding America Chavez and just getting her back and being like, "Hey, I need you for my thing." Man, this plot explanation is really taking a long time. While Wanda is in pursuit of them, Christine, who is actually a volunteer at the Illuminati building, and Christine is the former girlfriend of Doctor Strange. With her help, and then America and Doctor Strange, the three of them are going to look for the Darkhold, which is, I believe it's this book about sacred spells that is supposed to help you communicate with other universes, but it does take a heavy toll on its reader. I believe I said that about the Book of Ashanti. Those things are actually very similar. So within the Darkhold, it it gives Doctor Strange the opportunity to defeat Wanda, but then he ends up in another universe where uh, Doctor Strange himself is corrupted by the Darkhold. Doctor Strange that had the Darkhold with him, he is then unfortunately killed, and so the original Doctor Strange, he had he has to take care of all this business himself, even though he understands like he's gonna be sacrificing a lot of himself within it. And then he takes up the dead body of America Chavez's Doctor Strange in order to get back to Wanda and defeat her, which he does become successful at. And then afterwards, Wanda is defeated and then she just disappears. And that's pretty much all that happens. Then there is the post-credit scene, but I'm already exhausted enough and I'm not going to get into that. Alright, now that we got the whole plot over with, wow, that was dense. So, I'm going to talk for a second about the director, Sam Raimi. So, as I mentioned before, he did movies like Drag Me to Hell, The Evil Dead, and the Spider-Man movies, the ones from 2002 to 2007 with Tobey Maguire. So, his directing style is very specific, and you can honestly see that within this movie, and it's not like what a lot of MCU movies have done in the past, where they just kind of follow this rigid formula for comedy, action, suspense, drama. This one takes a little bit more creative liberties with its story, and it works in this movie's favor. And especially with Sam Raimi being more of a horror director, he's able to take those horror elements and put them into something that more people can enjoy if people are like super afraid of horror movies and whatnot. I've seen the Evil Dead and the Spider-Man movies, and I can tell from his directing style that like he really loves what he's doing, and especially for a franchise like the MCU that doesn't really have much diverse storytelling within it. Of course, yeah, it has all these different characters, but a lot of the story setup is kind of the same. But this one takes it in a different direction, and I like that. So the music, uh, definitely it definitely feels more inspired by like previous musical scores away from the MCU, because it does seem to have a lot more electric guitar and a little bit more suspenseful music composition. I was trying to find the word for that. So it felt like a horror movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which basically that's what this kind of is. And so, surprises. So there was Patrick Stewart, who played Charles Xavier, who was featured in this movie for the first time in the MCU. Then there's John Krasinski, who played Reed Richards, well, who's also Mr. Fantastic. He made an appearance. Honestly, this movie was just jam-packed with so many people. Now I remember. So Charlize Theron was in the post-credits scene for this, but I didn't even know who she was when I watched it. but now I kind of get who she is, kind of a little bit, not really. And Bruce Campbell, he also cameoed in this movie, which Bruce Campbell cameoing in a lot of Sam Raimi's work is just it's just so funny because he just kind of inserts himself in a way that doesn't seem too ham-fisted, but at the same time it's like it's like genuinely funny. And Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi first worked together on the Evil Dead movies, which includes Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and then I believe Army of Darkness was the third one in that franchise. And then ever since Bruce Campbell's just kind of been showing up in a lot of Sam Raimi's work. So that's pretty much it about the movie itself. The only other thing that I can really do is just kind of give a rating on it. Yeah, also the popcorn bucket that I showed you at the very beginning of this review. It folds out, and then you can get your popcorn stored in here. I thought it was really cool. This was actually $25. $25. But I bought it anyway because honestly, when am I ever going to get the chance to get this thing again? Unless somebody's reselling it on eBay. I'm kind of glad that I got this when I did because I don't want to end up getting this item when it's for resale on eBay in a couple years' time. Alright, so the final rating I would give on this movie, I would give it probably somewhere like a 8 or 9 out of 10. Because this was definitely one of the most interesting MCU movies to date because it did something so different with its story that I really haven't seen before. And also just the sheer amount of content that just like happened back to back to back to back to back. You like really had to be invested in it the entire time. And I think this is one of the shorter MCU movies, like besides Thor: The Dark World. So it's not a long watch, but it's significantly shorter than a lot of other MCU movies. That's all I really got to say about that. So I hope you enjoyed this review that I made. I didn't really plan it through that much, but you know, I did the best that I could. So, with all of that being said, thanks for watching. And I'll catch you next time for one of my movie reviews. Maybe I'll come up with a title eventually, but for now, it's all up in the air.